Welcome back to Bargirl Baddies. Today we're telling a story that's going to make some of you uncomfortable because it challenges one of the biggest fantasies in the expat world, the early retirement dream. The idea that you can cash out at 50, move to Thailand, and live like royalty on your pension or savings for the next 30 years. It sounds perfect on paper. It sounds like freedom. But what happens when the reality doesn't match the brochure? What happens when paradise starts feeling like a prison and you realize you've made a choice you can't easily undo? Meet Robert Sanderson, 53 years old, from Phoenix, Arizona. Robert retired early from his job as an aerospace project manager, sold his house, liquidated everything, and moved to Chiang Mai in 2021 with his Thai wife of 2 years. He thought he'd figured it all out. He thought he was living the dream that everyone else was too scared or too conventional to chase. 3 years later, he's back in Arizona, divorced, working part-time at Home Depot, and trying to rebuild a life he thought he'd successfully escaped. Before we get into his story, I want you to comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. If you're retired or planning early retirement abroad, tell me if this story changes anything. And if you've ever realized too late that you wanted the wrong thing, hit that subscribe button because you're going to feel every word of what comes next. Alright, let's hear from Robert himself. I need you to understand what my life looked like in Phoenix before any of this makes sense. On paper, I had it pretty good. 26 years at the same aerospace company, started as a junior engineer right out of college, and worked my way up to senior project manager. The money was decent, not getting rich, but comfortable. 6 figures. Benefits. Retirement contributions. The kind of stable career people tell you to be grateful for. But God, the cost. Not just financial cost, the life cost. I was 50 years old and I felt 70. The stress was constant. Managing teams, managing budgets, managing personalities, managing expectations from executives who didn't understand engineering realities. The commute was 40 minutes each way through Phoenix traffic in heat that regularly hit 115 degrees. My car's air conditioning ran full blast 10 months a year and still barely kept up. Then there was the divorce. My first wife Linda and I split in 2017 after 23 years of marriage. No dramatic affair or blow-up, just the slow realization that we'd become roommates who resented each other. The kids were grown. The house felt empty. We fought about stupid things because fighting about stupid things was easier than admitting we had nothing left to say to each other. The divorce was civil, but it gutted me financially and emotionally. We split the house equity. I moved into a rental in Scottsdale. Started over at 48. Dating at that age in Phoenix is brutal. I tried the apps. Match, Plenty of Fish, even Tinder. Though I felt ridiculous swiping at my age, the women I matched with were either bitter from their own divorces, had unrealistic expectations, or just seemed exhausted by life. And I get it. I was probably the same. Exhausted. Used up. Going through motions. First dates at chain restaurants, making small talk about grown kids and health insurance and whether we preferred hiking or staying in. It was depressing as hell. I felt invisible. The younger women weren't interested in a 50-year-old engineer with a dad bod and a receding hairline. The women my age seemed to want men who had their lives more together than I did. I'd go on 2 or 3 dates and then mutual ghosting. No chemistry, no spark. Just 2 damaged people pretending to be interested in building something neither of them had the energy for. Work was the same. Meetings about meetings. Deadlines that didn't matter. Politics and bureaucracy and watching younger guys get promoted because they knew how to play the game better than I did. I'd put in 26 years and I was stuck, not advancing, not getting fired. Just existing in this middle management purgatory, waiting for retirement age. I'd sit in my rental apartment after work, microwave something for dinner, watch TV, and think, is this it? Is this what I worked my entire adult life for? A job I tolerated. An apartment I didn't care about. Weekends alone scrolling through my phone. My kids were adults with their own lives. My daughter was married with 2 kids in Tucson. My son was in California doing something with tech startups I didn't fully understand. They called on holidays. We were fine but not close. I'd failed at marriage, and fatherhood wasn't something you could redo when the kids were grown. The loneliness was the worst part. Not dramatic loneliness, just the quiet kind. Coming home to an empty apartment every night, eating alone, watching TV alone, waking up alone, going to bed alone. Repeat. I was 50 years old, and I felt like my life was already over, and I was just running out the clock until actual death. That's when the algorithm found me. I was watching YouTube one night, probably some documentary about World War II or engineering disasters, and the recommendations started showing me expat content. American guys living in Thailand, the Philippines, Vietnam. But Thailand kept coming up. Specifically, videos about retirement in Thailand. I clicked on one. Retirement in Chiang Mai on $1,500 a month. The guy in the video was maybe 60, looked healthy and happy, showing his house. 3 bedrooms, pool, garden, modern kitchen. Beautiful tile work. He walked through his monthly budget. Rent $600, food $300, utilities and phone $150, entertainment and miscellaneous, the rest. $1,500 total. His social security was $2,200. He was saving money and living better than he ever had in the States. I watched another video, and another. Different channels but the same message. Thailand was cheap. Thailand was beautiful. Thailand was easy. Warm weather year-round. Incredible food, friendly people, modern amenities. First world healthcare at third world prices. And the women. That came up in the videos too, though not always explicitly. Western men with Thai partners. Younger partners. Happy partners. Men who looked like me, average or below average, with attractive women who seemed genuinely affectionate. I started watching these videos every night. Hours of them. Chiang Mai, Bangkok, Pattaya, Hua Hin. Different cities, different lifestyles, but all of them showing lives that looked infinitely better than mine. Guys my age or older, playing golf, eating at nice restaurants, getting massages, living in beautiful homes, traveling around Southeast Asia, and doing it all on pension money that would barely cover rent in Phoenix. The math was intoxicating. My pension, if I took it at 50 with the early withdrawal reduction, would be $3,200 a month. My 401k had about $300,000. My share of the house sale after the divorce was $200,000 sitting in a savings account earning nothing. If I could live in Thailand on $2,000 a month, I'd be saving $1,300 monthly. I'd never touch my principal. I could travel. I could build a house. I could live like the men in those videos. But I needed a visa situation. The videos explained that part too. Retirement visas required being 50 and showing income or savings. I qualified. Or I could get married to a Thai national and get a marriage visa. That option kept coming up. Lots of the retired expats had Thai wives. It solved the visa issue and provided companionship and cultural integration. I'd never considered dating outside my race or culture. It wasn't something that occurred to me. But sitting alone in my Scottsdale rental at 50, watching these videos of men who looked happy for the first time in decades, I started thinking maybe I'd been limiting myself. Maybe American women weren't interested in me. But that didn't mean I was undateable. Maybe I just needed to look somewhere else. I joined ThaiCupid in November 2018. It felt weird at first. The site had thousands of Thai women, ages ranging from 20s to 50s, and a lot of them had specifically checked that they were interested in foreign men. I made a profile, posted a few decent photos, wrote something honest about being divorced, working in aerospace, looking for companionship and maybe more. The responses were overwhelming. Dozens of messages in the first week. Women saying I looked kind, looked handsome, asking about my life, my job, my interests. It was attention I hadn't received in years. Most of it was probably bullshit, I knew that. But some of the messages felt genuine. I started chatting with a woman named Noi. She was 38, from Chiang Mai, worked at a restaurant, had photos that looked natural and unprofessional. Not a model, just a normal attractive woman. Her English was decent. We started messaging daily. Then video calls. She'd call me on her break at work, show me the restaurant, introduce me to her co-workers who'd wave at the camera and giggle. Noi asked about my life and seemed genuinely interested. She told me about hers. She'd been married before, no kids, divorced 5 years ago, worked hard, helped support her mother and sisters, wanted to travel but never had money, dreamed of visiting America. She laughed at my jokes even when they weren't funny. She called me handsome when I felt anything but. I told myself not to fall for it. This was probably a scam. She'd ask for money eventually and I'd block her and feel stupid. But weeks went by and she never asked for anything. just talked, just listened, just made me feel like someone cared. By January 2019, I was talking to her every day. She made me happy in a way I hadn't felt since maybe my early 20s. I knew it was pathetic. 50-year-old divorced guy falling for a Thai woman he'd never met. But I didn't care. I needed something to look forward to, and she was it. I booked a trip to Thailand in March 2019. 2 weeks. Told work it was vacation. Told my kids I was travelling. Didn't mention Noi. Didn't want the judgment. The flight was brutal. 17 hours with connections. I landed in Bangkok exhausted and anxious and excited. Took another short flight to Chiang Mai. Noi picked me up at the airport. Seeing her in person was surreal. She looked like her photos, smaller than I expected, maybe 5'2". Long, dark hair. Pretty smile. She hugged me and it felt natural, and I realised how long it had been since anyone had hugged me like they meant it. Those 2 weeks were the best I'd had in years. Noi took time off work. She showed me Chiang Mai, the old city, the temples, the night markets, the mountains. We ate at street stalls and local restaurants. We rented a scooter and rode to waterfalls. She introduced me to her friends, to her mother and sisters. They were welcoming and warm and treated me like family. I met other expats too. Western men married to Thai women, retired guys living in nice houses. They'd invite us over for barbecues, show me around, tell me about visa processes and cost of living and where to buy imported foods. They all said the same thing. Best decision they ever made. Leaving the West, marrying Thai, retiring early, living well on less. By the end of the 2 weeks, I was in love. Or I thought I was. Maybe it was just infatuation. Maybe it was gratitude. Maybe it was desperation. But Noi made me feel alive, made me feel wanted, made me feel like my life wasn't over. I went back to Phoenix, but we kept talking every day. I visited again in August 2009. Another 2 weeks. This time I met more of her family. Went to her village outside Chiang Mai, met aunts and uncles and cousins. They had a small party for me, roasted a pig. Everyone drank and laughed and made me feel welcome even though I couldn't understand most of what they said. Noi's mother pulled me aside with Noi translating. She said her daughter was happy, that I was a good man, that I should marry Noi and take care of her. It was direct in a way that would have felt pushy in America, but here it just felt honest. I told her I was thinking about it. She smiled and patted my hand and said, "Don't think too long." I proposed before I left. Nothing fancy. Just us at a temple at sunset. I had a ring I bought at a mall in Chiang Mai. She said yes and cried and kissed me, and I felt like maybe I'd finally done something right. We did a small traditional ceremony in her village in November 2019. I flew back for it. Her family arranged everything. I wore a Thai silk shirt. There were monks and chanting and rituals I didn't understand but participated in. We weren't legally married yet, but in Thai culture, this was the important part. One gave her family sinsod, the traditional money gift. 50,000 baht, about $1,500. Her mother cried, her sisters cried. Everyone hugged me and thanked me and called me family. I started the paperwork to bring Noi to America on a spouse visa. It took months, applications, interviews, medical exams, proof of relationship, proof of income. By early 2020, she was approved. She arrived in Phoenix in February, just before COVID shut the world down. Having her in Phoenix felt right at first. My rental apartment suddenly felt like a home. She cooked Thai food, decorated with things from her village. Made friends with other Thai women she found through Facebook. But I could tell she wasn't happy. Phoenix was too hot, too spread out, too expensive. She couldn't work yet because her visa didn't allow it. She was bored and lonely and dependent on me for everything. Then COVID hit and everything locked down. We were stuck inside together. I was working from home. She had nothing to do. The culture shock was hitting her hard. She missed her family. Missed Thai food from places that weren't overpriced Thai restaurants. Missed speaking Thai. Missed everything. We started talking about moving to Thailand, not immediately, but eventually. When I could retire. When we could afford it. Noi got excited. Started planning. Showed me land her family owned. Said we could build a house there. Modern house. American style but Thai price. She could be near family. I could have the retirement I'd been dreaming about. I started doing the math seriously. I was 50, could take early retirement with reduced pension. $3,200 a month. Could sell my rental furniture and minimal stuff easily. Could take my 401k. Could take the house money I'd been sitting on. Total liquid assets around $500,000. Monthly income $3,200, guaranteed for life. In Thailand, that made me wealthy. I could build a nice house for $100,000. Still have $400,000 invested. Live on $2,000 a month, easily. Never work again. Just relax. Golf. Travel. Enjoy Noi and her family. Escape the American grind forever. By fall 2020, I'd decided. I told my boss I was retiring in March. He tried to talk me out of it, said I was young, said I'd be bored, said I'd regret it. I told him he didn't understand. I'd figured out what he hadn't, that life was short and I didn't want to spend the rest of mine in meetings. My kids thought I was insane. My daughter asked if I was having a breakdown. My son asked if Noi was scamming me. I got defensive, told them they were too young to understand, that they'd get it when they were 50 and burnt out, that I deserved happiness. They backed off, but I could tell they thought I was making a huge mistake. March 2021. I retired, sold my furniture, packed 2 suitcases, Noi packed 3. We said goodbye to the few friends she'd made. I said goodbye to no one because I didn't really have friends. Just work acquaintances who probably wouldn't remember me in 6 months. The flight to Bangkok felt different this time. I wasn't visiting, I was moving. Permanently. This was it. The next chapter. The dream wand built in my head for 2 years. I was 51 years old, retired, free, moving to paradise with a woman who loved me. I'd escaped. I'd won. We landed in Bangkok and took a private van to Chiang Mai. Noi's family was waiting. Her mother had prepared food. Her sisters had decorated the house we'd be staying in temporarily while we built our own. Everyone was so happy, so welcoming. I felt like I'd finally found where I belonged. That first night, I stood outside looking at the stars, thinking about my old co-workers back in Phoenix sitting in traffic, thinking about my rental apartment I'd never have to see again. Thinking about the grey office and the fluorescent lights and the meetings and the deadlines. All of it gone. Behind me. I'd made it. I was free. This was paradise. I just didn't know yet that paradise was about to cost me everything. The first 6 months in Chiang Mai felt like vindication. Like proof that everyone who doubted me had been wrong. We started building the house immediately. Noi's family had land about 20 minutes outside the city centre. Rural, but not isolated. Her mother's house was on the same property. Her sisters lived nearby. It felt like a compound. Like family. Like something I'd never had growing up in suburban Phoenix, where neighbours barely knew each other's names. I hired a local builder Noi's cousin recommended. We spent weeks planning. I wanted Western amenities. Good kitchen. Proper bathrooms. Air conditioning in every room. But Thai-style architecture. Open plan. High ceilings. Big windows. A pool, because I'd always wanted a pool, and here it was actually affordable. The budget was $120,000. In Phoenix, that wouldn't have bought me a parking space. Here it was, buying me a 3-bedroom house with a pool and a garden and tile work and custom cabinets. I was there almost every day during construction. Checking progress, making decisions, feeling useful in a way I hadn't felt in years. This was my project, my house, my future. Noi was happy during this phase. Excited. She'd bring lunch to the construction site. Her mother would come, her sisters. We'd all sit in the shade eating som tam and sticky rice watching the walls go up. They'd chatter in Thai and laugh and occasionally translate something for me. I didn't mind not understanding everything. It felt like family. Like the longing. The house was finished in September 2021. We moved in and I felt this surge of pride I hadn't experienced since maybe my wedding day with Linda 30 years ago. Everything was new. Everything was mine. The pool sparkled. The kitchen had granite counters and a real oven. The master bedroom had a king bed and an ensuite bathroom with a rainfall shower. I built this, me. At 51, I'd built my retirement dream home. I established a routine fast. Wake up around 7, coffee on the back terrace looking at the garden, swim for 30 minutes, light breakfast. Maybe drive into town to one of the expat coffee shops. Lunch somewhere cheap, 50 to 70 baht for a full meal. Afternoon nap because the heat was brutal midday. Evening with Noi, sometimes her family would come over, sometimes we'd go to night markets. Simple. Easy. Exactly what I'd wanted. I joined a golf club. Membership was reasonable, $200 a year. Greens fees were $15. In Phoenix, I'd been paying $150 per round at the courses worth playing. Here, I could golf twice a week and barely notice the cost. I met other retired expats on the course, Americans mostly, some Brits, some Europeans, men in their 50s and 60s who'd made the same choice I had. We'd have beers after rounds, talk about visa runs and where to get good imported cheese and which hospitals were best, compare pension amounts without shame because everyone understood the game. We'd all escaped. We'd all figured out the arbitrage. Western income, Thai costs, early retirement. We'd won, and everyone back home grinding away was losing. But small things bothered me, even then. Things I told myself didn't matter, but they accumulated. Noi's family was always around. Always. Her mother came by almost daily. Her sisters multiple times a week. Cousins, aunts, uncles. There was always someone at the house wanting something, wanting to use the pool, wanting to borrow the truck I'd bought, wanting to watch TV on my big screen, wanting Noi to go somewhere with them. I didn't mind at first. This was Thai culture. Family was central. I'd known that. I'd signed up for it. But it was exhausting being the Farang ATM. Someone always needed money. Noi's mother needed 5,000 baht for medicine. Her sister needed 10,000 for her kids' school fees. A cousin needed 15,000 to fix his motorbike. It was constant. Noi would ask, and I'd give, because what was 5,000 baht, 15 bucks, 10,000 baht was $30. In the grand scheme, it was nothing. But it added up. Every week, there was something. Every month, I was giving away 20 or 30,000 baht beyond what I'd budgeted. That was almost $1,000 a month. 12,000 a year. Real money. I tried talking to Noi about it. She'd get defensive. Say I didn't understand Thai family obligation. Say her family helped raise her, and now it was her duty to help them. Say I was rich by Thai standards, and it was selfish not to share. I'd feel guilty and back off. But the resentment was building. The language barrier was worse than I'd expected. I'd learned basic Thai. Greetings. Food orders. Directions. Polite phrases. But real conversations were beyond me. When Noi's family came over, they'd speak Thai exclusively. Fast colloquial Thai full of slang and idioms I couldn't follow. Noi would translate sometimes, but not always. I'd sit there smiling and nodding and having no idea what anyone was saying, laughing when they laughed, agreeing when they looked at me expectantly. It was isolating. I was surrounded by people but totally alone. I'd tried to participate, but my Thai was too limited and their English was non-existent, so I'd just sit there. The foreign husband. The wallet. The guy who built the house they were all enjoying. The expat meetups helped. I started going to more of them. Weekly coffee mornings at a cafe in Niman. Monthly dinners at different restaurants. Golf twice a week. These were my people. English speakers. Americans who understood NFL references and could talk about politics without me having to explain basic context. But something felt hollow about it. We'd sit around complaining about the same things. Visa requirements. The heat. Thai drivers. The difficulty of getting good Mexican food. Someone would brag about how cheap their maid was. Someone else would talk about their girlfriend or wife in ways that made me uncomfortable, referring to them as their tirak with a smirk, comparing ages, comparing costs. It felt gross, but I participated because where else was I going to get social interaction? I started noticing I was bored, really bored. I'd wanted retirement, no more work stress, no more deadlines, no more corporate bullshit. But now I had nothing, no challenges, no goals, no purpose. Just days bleeding into each other. Coffee, swim, town, lunch, nap, dinner. Repeat. I tried picking up hobbies, started learning Thai more seriously with a tutor. That lasted 3 months before I quit. It was too hard, and I couldn't see the point. I tried photography, bought a nice camera, took pictures around Chiang Mai, but I wasn't good and didn't have the patience to learn. Tried reading more. Got through a few books but couldn't focus. My mind wandered. The truth was, I'd spent 30 years with work giving my life structure and meaning, and now that structure was gone, and I didn't know who I was without it. I was just existing. Comfortably. But existing isn't living. Noi changed too. Subtle at first. Less affectionate. More distant. She'd go out with friends, and not invite me. Say it was girls only, and I wouldn't have fun anyway. Come home late. Wake me up coming to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning smelling like cigarettes and whiskey. I'd ask where she'd been, and she'd say out, and that would be the end of it. Sex dropped off. We'd been active in Phoenix, but now it was once a week if I was lucky. Once every 2 weeks, then once a month. I'd try to initiate and she'd say she was tired, say she didn't feel good, say tomorrow never came. I told myself it was normal. We'd been together 3 years. The honeymoon phase was over. Married couples went through lulls. But deep down I knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to look at it directly. The money kept draining faster than planned. I'd budgeted $2,000 a month total. But between family handouts and noise spending and my own spending and unexpected costs, I was burning through $3,000, sometimes $3,500. My savings account was shrinking, not dramatically, but noticeably. I'd check the balance and feel anxiety spike. Then my health scared me. April 2022. I started getting heart palpitations, random moments when my heart would race and skip beats. Terrifying. I went to a private hospital in Chiang Mai. Nice facility, clean, modern. But the doctor's English was okay, not great. He ran tests, EKG, blood work. Everything came back mostly normal. He said stress. Said lose weight. Said reduce alcohol. Prescribed some medication I didn't fully understand. The scary part was the communication gap. I couldn't articulate exactly how I felt. Couldn't understand his full explanation. Noi came with me, but her medical English was limited too. I left with prescriptions and vague reassurance, but feeling deeply unsure. What if it was serious? What if I had a heart attack? Would I trust Thai emergency services? Would I even be able to communicate what was wrong? I started thinking about American healthcare, about doctors who spoke perfect English, about hospitals where I understood every word, about being near my kids if something really bad happened. These thoughts felt like betrayal, like admitting I'd made a mistake. So I pushed them down. The financial pressure got worse. Noi's brother came to me in June with a business proposal, wanted to open a small shop, needed 50,000 baht to get started, promised he'd pay me back. I knew I'd never see that money again, but Noi pushed hard, said it was family duty, said he'd really make something of himself if I gave him a chance. I gave him the money. He opened the shop. It failed within 4 months, never paid me back, never apologized, just moved on like it had never happened. Her mother needed dental work. 20,000 baht. A cousin was getting married. Expected contribution, 30,000. Someone's kid needed surgery. 15,000. The requests never stopped. I tried saying no. Noi would get upset. Cry. Say I'd changed. Say I was being selfish. Say her family would think I was a bad husband. I'd cave. Every time. By late 2022, I'd given her family over 200,000 baht. Almost $7,000. None of it acknowledged. None of it appreciated beyond the moment. Just expected. Like I was a resource to be extracted, not a person to be respected. I started noticing other things. Noi was on her phone constantly. She'd tilt the screen away when I walked by. She'd go outside to take calls. She'd delete messages quickly. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was insecure because she was younger and attractive, and I was an old, bald guy who got unlucky. But the suspicion was eating at me. One night in January 2023, she left her phone on the counter while she showered. I told myself not to look, told myself it was wrong. Looked anyway. Found line messages with a Thai guy, flirty messages, nothing explicit but intimate. Inside jokes, mentions of meeting up. Plans to see each other. My stomach dropped. I confronted her when she came out, showed her the messages. She didn't deny it. Didn't apologize. Just got angry that I'd looked at her phone. Said I was controlling. Said she could have friends. Said it wasn't what I thought. But her eyes told me it was exactly what I thought. We fought. Really fought. Her screaming in Thai, me yelling in English. Neither of us understanding half of what the other was saying, but understanding the core message. She'd been cheating, or at least emotionally involved with someone else. And she didn't care that I knew. She said I was boring. Said I was old. Said she'd tried to make it work, but couldn't keep pretending. Said she wanted a divorce. The word hit me like a physical blow. Divorce. Again. At 52, in a foreign country. Living in a house I'd built on land I didn't own because foreigners can't own land in Thailand. Everything in Noi's name. Everything I'd built. Everything I'd paid for. Not mine. I called a lawyer the next day. An expat lawyer who specialised in cases like mine. He laid it out plainly. The house was in Noi's name. I had no legal claim. Thai family law favoured Thai nationals, especially in divorces with foreigners. I could fight it, but it would cost money and time, and I'd probably lose. Best case scenario, I'd get some small settlement. Worst case, I'd walk away with nothing but my pension and my remaining savings. I felt like the stupidest man alive. 52 years old. Divorced twice. Realised I'd spent $120,000 building a house for a woman who'd been cheating on me and was now kicking me out. Every expat warning I'd ignored came flooding back. Don't buy property in your wife's name. Don't trust too quickly. Don't think you're special. Don't think it won't happen to you. But I had thought I was special. Thought Noi was different. Thought our relationship was real. And maybe it had been real for her at some point. Or maybe it never was. Maybe I was just a retirement plan. A house. A ticket to financial security. And once she had it, she didn't need to pretend anymore. The divorce took 3 months. I negotiated to just walk away. Leave the house. Leave everything. Take my pension and my remaining savings and go. Noi agreed quickly. Too quickly. She'd already won. She had a house worth $120,000 that she could sell or rent or live in. She had money I'd given her family. She had 3 years of financial security I'd provided. What did she care if I left? I moved to a condo in the city. Small 1-bedroom, rented month to month, 10,000 baht. The place was depressing. White walls, cheap furniture, view of another building. But it was mine and temporary, and I didn't have to see Noi or her family or the house I'd built. I started drinking more. Not dramatically, not falling down drunk, just a bottle of beer with lunch, 3 or 4 in the evening. Enough to numb the shame and regret. Enough to sleep without thinking about how thoroughly I'd fucked up my life. My health got worse. Blood pressure spiked. The doctor increased my medication. I gained weight because I stopped caring, stopped swimming, stopped golfing. Just sat in my condo eating delivery food and watching Netflix and wondering how I'd gotten here. The expat friends disappeared. Divorce was common, but still uncomfortable. I was a reminder of what could happen to any of them. The guy who'd been taken. The cautionary tale. They'd nod hello if we crossed paths, but the invitation stopped. I was alone in a city of millions, and I'd never felt more isolated in my life.